this is shocking, Field, because their Pro Bowl guard Quenton Nelson, arguably maybe the top offensive lineman in all of football, their starting left guard, suffered a very similar foot injury to Carson Wentz. And basically 24 hours after Carson Wentz underwent foot surgery that will knock him out 5 to 12 weeks, now Quenton Nelson's having the same surgery today, and it's expected to sideline him 5 to 12 weeks. Now, it's hard to imagine that somebody a little bit heavier can come back quicker, but the Colts are hopeful, as they are optimistic on Carson Wentz as well. He had the surgery done yesterday. It is said to have gone well. They'll get a better idea of exactly how well it went over the next 2 weeks. Until then, they're going to continue to stick with their second-year quarterback, Jacob Eason, as the starting quarterback. The Colts have not given up hope that Wentz could be back for the regular season opener. Obviously, Quenton Nelson now, that's another major blow. And you look at everything that's happened to the Colts this summer. Losing Wentz, losing Quenton Nelson, their starting Pro Bowl center Ryan Kelly, hyperextended elbow, out a couple of weeks. Darius Leonard still not practicing due to the ankle injury. This has been about as bad a camp as a team could have through 1 week.
Schefter, you're right. The hits keep coming. We'll back to you in just a moment here. But let's get back into this Quenton Nelson injury. I'll start with you, Dan. Your general thoughts on the Colts losing, as Adam said, perhaps the best offensive lineman in football.
Yeah, it's obviously, again, another not ideal situation. I would say this. If you asked me 2 days ago who I thought was going to win this division, I was going to say Indy. But I would say it wasn't going to be decided until December. I feel the same way.
Interesting.
I feel this division will still get decided in December. If you looked at Indy, even before the Carson Wentz and now the Quenton Nelson news, I looked at their schedule. I said, man, their first month is going to be incredibly difficult. But this is a team that's very young receivers, Kwity Paye at defensive end. So they're a very young football team in September before these injuries. And then we're talking about they were already waiting on Eric Fisher, their left tackle, to come over and get healthy from Kansas City. We weren't going to see him in September anyway. So I thought the Colts that we saw in September would be very different than what we see maybe post-Thanksgiving. I still feel the same way. Is it easier because of these injuries for Tennessee to win this division? Sure. But I think the team that we see in the back end of November and December will be very different in Indianapolis than the team we see in September.
For me, the development is the issue. And listen, I'm hoping, like very optimistic and hoping that Carson can get back for the opener. But I'm concerned about the time that he's missing right now. I'm concerned about the rapport that you're building. And when you look at that schedule in the first 5 weeks, we all understand that that's a gauntlet. But not only a gauntlet, it's a divisional game against the Titans in the mix with that schedule as well. So, and look, we playing in this league, man, you know when you get behind in that division, as the season comes to an end, those games start to be paramount as far as not only getting into the playoffs, but seeding as well, and where you may have to travel to. But the bottom line is this, man, and this is why I called this catastrophic when we first got the news. It's because Carson Wentz is not coming. Carson Wentz didn't get traded to the Indianapolis Colts because he was having a magnificent season and you needed him to upgrade your quarterback position. You think that's what Carson Wentz is going to do. And I think we all are optimistic, but cautiously optimistic about how he can return to form. Not MVP level, but be an above average quarterback and potentially in moments show you those MVP moments that he had with Philly. My concern is continuity. My concern is time on job. My concern is when you get into these games, building a rapport to have that success. We saw the GOAT, Tom Brady, struggle for a few weeks to get acclimated in Tampa Bay. And I'm just concerned about Carson potentially coming back too late and this getting away from the Indianapolis Colts too fast.
My concern is whoever plays quarterback is going to get obliterated because the left side of this offensive line has been blown up. Coming into the season, before Wentz got hurt, before this injury, the gaping hole on this offense, it's a very well-built team, a deep roster, was left tackle. Dan, you mentioned Eric Fisher, who they signed from the Chiefs. We're waiting. When is he going to play? Okay, maybe it's a month. He's coming off an Achilles. That's a serious injury. Yeah. So then you're looking at Sam Tevy or Julian Davenport. Guys, those are not players you want anchoring the side of your offensive line. And the case for them not being a huge liability was that you have the best left guard in football Quenton Nelson playing next to them, and then the rest of the line is strong as well, right? Like you can take one piece out of the line and they'll still be fine as long as you've got 4 very good starters and 1 all-world guy. Now, I mean, without Nelson, suddenly you got question marks at both guard and tackle. Adam alluded to Kelly's status. And you got Seahawks week 1, it's okay, pass rush. Week 2, you got Aaron Donald coming through. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Dan, about, you know, the Titans have a difficult schedule as well, and the team's going to look very different in December. But you're looking at a team that, depending on who actually plays, could start with a bunch of losses, and that is a huge disappointment.
I agree. Listen, I don't want to pretend like this is not a relatively impactful thing, and their first month was going to be difficult with those 2 guys. But you just mentioned Tennessee's schedule, that first 7 games, or first 8 games, is pretty tough as well. Tennessee, in their first 7 games, they're going to play Arizona, Seattle, Buffalo, Kansas City, the Rams, and Indy twice. That's 7 out of their first 9 games. So again, this isn't the division that, like, I sit here and go, man, that is a runaway because of the challenge of that schedule. And Marcus, I get it with the whole division winner, but I do think the division winner is watered down a little bit nowadays in the NFL because 7 teams get in now. Years ago, it was like win your division, you're guaranteed to get in, and there's only 2 other spots, where nowadays it's not as necessary because of the added playoff spot.
Well, big news obviously surrounding the offensive line today, but a bit of sobering perspective on the injury to Carson Wentz yesterday. The most experienced quarterback on the practice field right now for Indy is their head coach, Frank Reich. He had 20 career starts at quarterback. That's more than double what the 4 healthy quarterbacks on his roster have combined, just 9 in total.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.